Imagine a moment so powerful, it doesn't need words. Imagine a confrontation so charged that silence becomes its loudest weapon. Before we take you into one of the most gripping, emotional, political moments of the year, take a second, subscribe to this channel. Here we tell stories that don't just entertain, they leave an imprint on your heart, on your mind, and maybe even on your life. Music swells, screen brightens slightly, revealing the U.S. Capitol in slow-motion shots, light rays flickering over marble columns. Narrator: what if the most powerful statement you could ever make was saying nothing at all? Cut to Jasmine Crockett, seated silently in the hearing room, her hands folded, her eyes unwavering. Soft camera zoom. Narrator: in a quiet corner of Capitol Hill, a battle unfolded. But this wasn't your usual battle. No raised voices, no dramatic walkouts, no finger pointing. This was a war of presence, of stories, of dignity. Flashback overlay, childhood pictures of Jasmine fading in, a young girl standing in front of a small school. Narrator: Jasmine Crockett's journey began long before these polished halls and microphones. She grew up in public schools, earned a scholarship to law school, and rose to the top of her class. She balanced casework and textbooks while caring for her mother, fighting a battle at home even as she prepared to battle in courtrooms. She's not a politician by birth, she's a fighter by choice. Switch to Senator JD Vance on screen, speaking confidently at the hearing table. Old clips show him giving speeches about poverty and resilience, layered in. Narrator: on the other side sat JD Vance, a man with his own story, raised amid hardship, a voice for those navigating addiction, poverty, broken systems. But today his story came wrapped not in empathy, but in challenge. Scene replays. JD Vance, voice sharp, leaning toward the microphone. Senator JD Vance: I believe in transparency. If I've shared my record, why shouldn't she? Why hide your transcript? Camera lingers on Jasmine, unblinking. Narrator: but Jasmine didn't flinch. She didn't shuffle papers. She didn't rise in defense. She sat. She waited. She watched. And in her silence, the entire room began to shift. Long pause, tense background music, close up on audience members exchanging glances. Narrator: was this arrogance? Was it defiance? Or was it something deeper? A refusal to let another person define her worth? Flashback sequence. Clips of late night studying, hospital visits, Jasmine's law school graduation day, all layered with soft, emotional strings. Narrator: Jasmine's record wasn't on a piece of paper. It was written in midnight oil, in grief-tinged determination, in every moment she chose to keep going when it would have been easier to stop. The music halts suddenly. Footsteps echo in the hearing room. Professor William Hart steps forward, holding an old yellow document. Professor Hart: this is Jasmine Crockett's senior thesis, written during a time most would have crumbled. She didn't ask for special treatment. She didn't delay. She wrote history. JD Vance shifts uncomfortably. The camera zooms in on his face, eyes flickering. Professor Hart: I've taught both of you, but only one of you ever used hardship as an excuse to delay. Narrator: that sentence didn't just echo in the room, it hit like a storm outside the walls. Silence held its ground, and it won. Audience reactions: a student blinking away tears, a reporter lowering their pen, a staffer biting their lip. Narrator: in that instant, the hearing was no longer about transcripts or transparency. It became a mirror, forcing every person in that room and every viewer across the country to confront a single question: what defines your worth? Jasmine's face in close-up, a single exhale, eyes unwavering. Narrator: still she didn't speak, not because she couldn't, but because someone had already spoken for her. And sometimes the truest strength lies in letting the silence carry the weight. Scene fades out. Soft montage of social media clips, viral headlines. Professor defends Crockett. Silence shakes Capitol Hill. What makes a leader? Narrator: Within hours, that moment rippled across the nation. University students debated merit and leadership. Educators revisited how they measure success. And thousands watched, shared, and reflected, not on a political spat, but on a human lesson. Cut to Jasmine walking down the Capitol steps, flanked by reporters. Reporter: "Do you think you won today, Representative Crockett?" Jasmine turned slightly, offering a soft smile. Jasmine Crockett: "No, I was just there so someone could learn what they needed to." In the end, the power of silence wasn't about who spoke loudest. It was about who listened deepest. If this story moved you, if it made you pause, made you feel, made you think, we invite you to become part of our growing community. Hit that subscribe button below. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers as we continue sharing stories that don't just fill minutes, but fill minds. And don't stop there. Share this video with someone who needs it, someone who's doubting their worth, someone who needs reminding that strength comes in many forms. And while you're here, drop a comment. When did you learn your greatest life lesson? What silence shaped you? We read every word, and your voice matters here. Subscribe, share, comment, because some stories deserve more than views. They deserve impact.